Separation of church and state is where you don't, where teachers cannot bring up religion and their beliefs in the classroom. Only the students can.
The church does not have direct influence over the decisions of government, and the government does not have direct influence over the decisions of the church.
There should be no religious test for public office or any kind of religious in any way that any religion or non-religion is favored in any way in the public arena.
I would say the separation between church and state is not allowing the government to involve themselves with any type of religion or any type of church, and vice versa.
Separation of church and state is where your religion is completely separate from the government, which means that it, schools and things like that can't have any religion with it, or cannot have religion within it.
Well, I think when people decided, the argument came up about the Pledge of Allegiance and whether or not we should keep the God part in it. I think affects the classroom, but it shouldn't, because our Constitution, that's what our laws are based off of.
Okay, there are some topics that the teachers cannot talk about in the classroom, and they just have to be mindful of what they say.
I know in elementary and middle school and high school we couldn't say our own religions and talk about it openly with the teachers.
For me, growing up, I went to public schools, and so they didn't really include religion that much in lessons or even the Pledge of Allegiance. We didn't really do that much.
I would say yes. I think separating personal religious views from what you're teaching as a teacher, professor, whatever in college, in the classroom is helpful because it separates subjectivity from objectivity when it comes to whatever you're teaching.
I think it can. But that's kind of a hard question because I grew up Christian, but a lot of people have different religious backgrounds, so I think that it can offend some people who aren't Christian or aren't Catholic or Muslim or whatever. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't practice it in schools, but I think it makes it more controversial if they do.
So I don't know, personal experience. I went to Catholic school for 8 years, and you could definitely tell that there was a certain mindset of thinking when it came to certain aspects of whether certain aspects of learning, whether that's evolution or different types of sciences that kind of are controversial in certain religions. So essentially, if you divide church and state, you'll have a better you won't limit thinking essentially.
I think separation of church and state in the classroom is very important, so children from different backgrounds and different cultures can feel comfortable in their own environment and learn and be fostered an environment that's not only tailored to them, but it doesn't oppose their views, as opposed to if they're Christian, if they're maybe a Muslim, if they're Jewish, so they can feel comfortable in school.
I have had experience with religion in schools. I went to a Christian school K through 12. Each class there was a biblical worldview that was kind of taught throughout each subject.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school from 1st grade to 8th grade, and then I went to public school, so it was really interesting to see the dynamics of how that a Catholic school structure worked versus a public school where there's not, but they have to be more PC about what they say essentially. So it was, granted I was a kid then, so I didn't really notice these things, but looking back on it, there were very strong differences between how you acted and how you thought of
times when I have been in a classroom where people do project their own personal views that aren't necessarily in the curriculum or might be questionable or offensive even to what the students view or what is best for the students, that it creates a tense learning environment and as well can hinder what the students should be learning and how they learn what they need to be learning.
there was like this kid that wanted to like read his Bible out in class, and the teacher like didn't really let them. I can't really remember why.
Yep.
I think that in public schools, in order to keep church and state separate, I do think that a sole religion should not be taught as, or like its practices should not be in effect for like how the school runs, because I think it prevents like the liberty to feel comfortable with practicing other religions.
I think that religion in the classroom and religion in the classroom shouldn't be separated. I think that true religion defines the people that believe in that faith, and so to have students in a classroom, I think it's wrong for you to ask them to devoid their religion from their classes.
Not in the sense that kids should not learn about religion. The difference is, and it's a finer line, but it's one between proselytizing religion, and should schools be a location where kids can learn or be preached to for conversion, effectively, versus learning about religion. So, particularly coming as a geographer, actually, I think kids should learn about religion. They should learn about all the religions, as many as they can, because it's so important for understanding.
I don't think religion should be separate from schools because, like, as a whole, our government and our country is a Christian nation, and so I don't think that it should be separate.